guys, this is Brittany. This is my initial post for Module 2. We had a very large reading, um, and so I just wanted to go ahead and jump into all the different subjects. First, though, I did want to make the note that Dr. DeVita told us to make about the Social Justice Project. I do want to focus on racism, namely focus on African Americans, since I do work at a majority African American college. I do want to learn more and be more sensitive to the needs of Black students. And I also chose disability, which I think is another thing that just doesn't get as much attention as it should in higher education. And so those are the two that I definitely want to focus on through my social justice project. And I actually want to go kind of backwards with one of the books and focus on classism first, especially with The Rules for Radicals by Alinsky. It had a lot of good focus on classism. The one thing that I really loved more so about that book than our other piece was that on page 18 they started to go into the haves, the have-nots, have a little and want more. So I really like that diversity. And I was really struck by all of the just real facts that were out there, especially like this chart or graph rather in the Readings for Diversity and Social Justice text, where the individual is showing, you know, the upper class having all this wealth and everyone else is just kind of over here. So it was really eye-opening. Another piece that really just blew my mind, page 151, that there are nearly 400 billionaires in the U.S. today, and a few have $10 billion each, and that it would take someone earning $35,672 annually and spending nothing. So not being able to buy anything, not being able to pay any bills. 400 lifetimes to earn $1 billion. So it was a real eye opener. But also in the sadder facts about poverty, and just being very honest in the fact that it does impact us in higher education. It's something that I've definitely been worried about since I am from the working class and consider myself to be, that it is going to become harder and harder as the years go by for students from the working class, students like me who are first generation students, to actually go to college, to actually become that student, to actually become a first generation student. And it was a lot easier for me than I think it was for a lot of other people. And I definitely do honor and appreciate that so much every day. But I really just do worry, you know, how that will impact us as we move forward as a society. But with the racial piece of the Readings for Diversity and Social Justice text, they were absolutely amazing. I loved all of the different stories that we had. I did want to note on page 58, they were talking about different races and how, you know, bringing in a lot of races was terrible, but also to make the note of ignoring race altogether, just acting colorblind, as we like to call it nowadays, is just as bad. To not really appreciate the diversity that we have, to think that we're teaching all students and that they're learning the same way from different cultures, is really ignorant and something that hopefully can be changed over time. I did want to jump to the different stories. The Real Problem with Indian Mascots by Kimberly Rapolo was extremely powerful. Lewisburg High School, where I graduated from, our mascot was actually the warrior. So it was an Indian man in a headdress, full headdress and everything. And we actually did tomahawk for our kind of like battle cry, so to speak, at football games. And being that my grandfather was half Native American, I never got the chance to meet him, and so I'm definitely not as versed in that part of my own background as I should be, and I definitely hope to look into it further. But I never really felt bothered by the mascot debate, but reading Kimberly's piece just completely changed my mind, especially her point about that we regard the Holocaust, rightly so, as a horrible point in history, and we realize it's wrong, but that when it comes to what happened to Native Americans, you know, in Columbus, we celebrate him with a holiday, and yet his men brutally killed and tortured so many Native Americans. So I really felt so empowered by that piece and so informed. And there were just a whole lot of different pieces that hopefully we'll be able to go more in depth in class. I mean, the rise of the U.S. immigration, just the immigration rights, seeing the other side of that debate, the Finding My Identity by Olivia Chung. I really, really loved when she was talking about page 110, where the once did funky makeup for 100 anorexic white girls on runways beauty expert revealed the secret to applying eye makeup. I actually have a makeup book by the artist Bobbi Brown, and she actually goes into different makeups for people from different cultures. And it was one of the earlier books that I got as a child when I came into using makeup. And it was just so beautiful to see all these professional photographers go for different ethnicities, different races, it was so lovely, and the pictures are so beautiful. And I'll definitely try to find that book to maybe kind of show for next video. But just loved all the diversity in the different texts that we went through, and really, really opened my eyes. I mean, all the stories were amazing. And that was, my insight for that part of the video. I know I went over a little bit for 6 minutes, but I do want to bring up kind of an extra thing for the end of this video, so it's going to be a little bit longer, which I'll definitely post about in the main post, but I did want to bring this up. I am a doll collector, which I know is a little weird at my age, but I'm into a series called Ever After High. And I had noticed with the dolls, a bit of things that we were talking about were racism, especially coming out in the doll community. It's been brought up in the Barbie doll collector community as well, but just the fact that diversity is not really shown. You always see Barbie, blonde, blue eyes, very, very white skin, and you just automatically think, I mean, you give it to a child and they're happy, but to not have the diversity there. So I wanted to bring it up with these because I think it's, like Barbie, trying to do a good thing in some aspects, but just kind of failing in a way also. So one of the more kind of initial pieces, Cedar Wood, she is the daughter of Pinocchio, and so she's made out of wood. So yes, she is regarded as African American by the community, but she's also made of wood. So it kind of seemed like with the fandom, that you're kind of doing a cop-out in a way, I guess some people would say. But so she is one of the diverse individuals, as I nearly drop her. The other one is really new, so I don't actually have her, but it's Gingerbread House. She is the daughter of the Candy Witch from Hansel and Gretel. And as you can see, with her name and everything, Gingerbread House, it's kind of the same deal with Cedar, where no, she isn't technically made out of gingerbread, although some people in the community have tried to bring that up, where no, she is made out of gingerbread. Her name kind of leads you to kind of assume they kind of did another cop-out there. I mean, for reference, all the other characters are very, very light-skinned. This is Duchess. She is definitely kind of, the type of skin color that they usually are. Very, very pale. And the only other dolls that really show diversity, so to speak, are kind of ambiguous. So this is Cerise, and as you can see, she's tanner than Duchess, but she could still definitely be ambiguous with her racial identity. So there's her, and the only other doll so far, and they do have episodes, but at the same time, these are really the only characters that you get to see. There are some background characters, some characters that really aren't addressed, that are diverse, that are clearly African American, but they never speak. We never hear anything about them. We don't know anything about them, and it's just, it's obvious. So this is Briar, and so she seems, at first, definitely with this doll in particular, to have a darker skin tone, but this is how she is usually with the skin tone, where it's just like with Cerise rather, where it's ambiguous. You're not too sure, is she white, is she maybe just tan? But I just thought it very interesting with what we were discussing. I know, even in the community that I'm in with the dolls, there were some recently leaked pictures of newer dolls that are coming out. It's a rather new community, and so these honestly are very truly the only ones that we have out that are diverse in a way. And so since the new dolls were coming out, no one really knew what they look like. And so people were asking questions at first. They were leaked to a very small group of people, and then it kind of, as the internet does, kind of blew up everywhere. And so they were asking if there were any people of color. And one of the members said, oh no, the individual, they were talking about the boy dolls, which so far have all been white. And in the show are all white. And said, no, he's Whitey McWhiterson. He has blonde hair, blue eyes, very, very pale skin. And it was so disappointing from, a doll collecting aspect and from a humane aspect. We already have 3 other characters in the show besides this Whitey McWhiterson that are blonde, blue eyes, and white. So I just thought it was really interesting to bring up the fact that this does still happen today. I mean, these are dolls that came out, within the past 2 years. And with Barbie, it's quite a similar thing where I've seen people comment that they have looked for their children an African American Ken doll and could not find one anywhere where they lived. And only found one on the website for Mattel, which produces Ever After High as well. So it's kind of like connected with, to have diverse dolls like that. And I think it's important. They are just dolls, so to speak, but they also are one of the first images that we have, little girls or little boys, if they, want to play with them, of what we have of society. I know, especially for me, I grew up in a very isolated place where I didn't really have many other children to play with. I did have male cousins. As I said, I grew up with a lot of different male cousins, but no female ones. And so my only real introduction to other females, to other identities, was through dolls. And when all of them look like Barbie, or all of them are very light-skinned and very few dark-skinned, or, if they do have dark skin, they have to be related to gingerbread or be related to wood. It's really disappointing and disheartening. So that was just something I wanted to share. And definitely I'm gonna try to figure out where the video stops so you don't have to continue watching. This is very uninteresting and I totally understand. But just wanted to share because I found it very intriguing. So I can't wait to see what you guys have to share and cannot wait to hear from you soon. Bye.